Hey guys, this is Chelsea with Hennapreneur, and today I am here with Mamta Rana of Matrika Henna in Garland, Texas, which is like, hello, if you guys didn't know, I'm a Texan, so she's super close to my heart. Mamta, tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
All right. So, hello, everybody. First off, hello. I see you back there. Um, so, actually, I started henna in 2011 and then just proceeded on with it because I felt this really strange connection. And then I was like, I really like it. My first design ever was horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. And I was visiting in India and my cousin thought it was amazing. And then they called the neighbor, and the neighbor saw, and they were like, "Oh my god, this is really, really good." And I was like, "Really? It looks like shit to me." But and then with their encouragement and my own encouragement, I kind of proceeded on with it, and now it's kind of become a thing. So
Love. So
yeah.
what was your first experience with henna? Like, what's your earliest memory involving henna?
So as young girls, as young Hindu girls who have nothing to achieve in life except marriage, we were asked to keep a 5-day fast annually, um, eating only once and eating only one kind of grain, which would either be like rice or wheat products. And we would have to eat, oh, so we could have rice products once a day for 5 days. And then we could have like fruit and milk and other like dairy sweets, but we couldn't have like salt. We couldn't have traditional Indian cooking, which it was fun for like 2 or 3 days. But then by the fourth and fifth days, we were like, that's it. No more. Like, bring on the chocolate. I need some chocolate. Uh, but anyway, like, during that time, the girl was often seen as a little bride, a little goddess who was keeping a fast. And during that time, my mom would do henna for me, or my grandmother would do henna for me. And it wasn't like the best. You would make it, but like since that time, that was my favorite part. Like, I didn't care about getting dressed up. I didn't care about like keeping the fast, which really nobody really cared about keeping the fast. You try eating rice products for 5 days, like, and then tell me how it was not fun. Um, none of that was fun. None of like going to other people's houses to do like a ceremony to like welcome, like bless their house or something. It was weird. It was looking back, it was weird, but it was really, really fun because we got like we weren't supposed to cry during this time. Yet, like I'm like I was and still am like a very sensitive person, and like little things would make me cry. Like today, I'm just like it's okay. Like my sensitivity is kind of in control. But back then, like somebody taking my ball would make me cry, or somebody taking my bike would make me cry. So yeah, so like those little things, like I would cry, and we would have to grow this plant from during the 5 days, during the 12 days, or what, however many days we were doing it, and that legend had it that if you cried, then that plant would start to wilt. And so we would cry, and our plants were never like straight because we would cry, and so like that was kind of instilled in me. But like it was that weird factor that like if those who know me know that I like mythology, like I like weird taboos like that. I have an interest in it, but none of that interests me. The only thing was henna. The only thing, like from day one, I don't even know why, but like I was like, when are you gonna do my henna? When are you gonna do my henna? When are you gonna do my like my mom would get so annoyed that she would finally do it for me. And I was a little kid. So I couldn't leave the pace on for more than like 45 minutes to an hour and a half. Like my dad didn't like it, nobody liked it. But like, I had henna on my hands and I was really happy about that. So I don't know. It's helped me through so much more. Just that's how it started though.
Oh my gosh. I love that story. Like, yeah, I didn't know that. So I didn't know that backstory. Like, oh, I love that so much. So, and it makes so much, like, I don't know, because obviously I know you. I'm like, This makes so much sense. I like, yeah, it's like the seed that started it all. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so when did you start, like, when did you start actually working with henna as a business? When was that? You said 2011?
Uh, right. So 2011 was when I actually started um, doing henna, so
Mm,
practicing henna. And
okay.
then, yeah, and then I practiced henna for like a few years. And then when I was in college, so like 2000, 2012 is when I like started actually thinking like, well, what if henna, like back then I was still like medical field oriented. I still wanted to do that. Um, but I do remember like thinking like, what if I could turn this into something so much more? What if I was like, I could sustain myself and like live by being a henna artist, and that's my profession, and it would be like this very formal, very, educated presence that I would have. I don't know about that, but like that's when the seed was planted, and then I never actually really, and then I created like my own little website, or I started doing some things for money, like when I was in college in 2015, 2016 ish. 2016, October 2016 is when I actually launched my very first website, which looking back was complete trash. Like it was rubbish,
Ah!
but it
Oh
was
my gosh.
rubbish. But in October 2016, I thought it was the best thing ever because I had done it myself and I had, you know, but yeah, so I don't know what exactly to say. I want to say that 2012 is when the seed was planted, like when I had the idea. But 2016 was when like I actually created a website and started going by like a formal business name.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. When you started, I laugh about the website because I feel like all of us have that experience. Like, look, we always look back and we're like, oh, oh,
It's
what was
so
I
true.
doing there? You know?
Even my Instagram's like that. Like my very like Instagram, I reluctantly started. I had like a friend who was like, "You could just do it for like business purposes," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." So I started it. Like if you go all the way down to like the very first set, the very first 15, it's complete trash. Like complete trash. And then you had to pass by the sticky note session part before I started using like the background, like the Instagram puzzle feed. But before that, like it was just a bunch of sticky note, different colors, and like my Instagram has seen some very, very dull times.
Look, yours and mine too. I feel like it's a learning journey. Like there are so many things that, man, you look back though and it's like, oh wow, like that's where I came from. Because when you have that hindsight, it's like back then it was like, oh yeah, I did that. And then you move forward in your journey and you're like, oh, I did that. But then you feel that same like excitement about the things that you're
Yeah.
doing today, you know?
Right. Right. Of course.
How for you, like over the course of those changes, how do you feel like you've personally been impacted by that journey?
Like by my henna journey.
Yeah.
Okay. So in high school, well, growing up, like I always was a people pleaser. Like I always wanted to be there for my parents. I always wanted to be this good Indian daughter. I wanted to do whatever like my parents wanted. That's what I wanted. That was my dream because I didn't have a dream of my own. So when my parents said like, "Hey, like we would love for you to pursue the medical field and pursue medicine and all of these things," I was like, "Okay, cool, let's do it." I like bodies, like let's do it. So like all throughout middle school, I was medicine focused, like medical field focused, health focused. Um, and then all throughout high school, I was also health focused. But I wasn't getting like an approval from my parents, and that's what I really wanted, like a sense of approval from them, and I wasn't getting that. And looking back, didn't have anything to do with them or me. Like it was just that they were like so wrapped up in the stresses of their own life and how to sustain like 7 people, how to feed 7 people, how to get food on the table, that like they really didn't have time. And it sounds like really harsh right now, but like no, like they really didn't have time. Like it wasn't like it didn't have any ill intentions or anything behind that at all. But in that time, I felt like, oh my God, like nobody, like I have to do more. I have to, like, take more classes or do AP classes or join more competitions, bring home medals, do all of this stuff so that maybe then I can get like 2 more ounces of their attention. So I like in middle school, I took all honors classes, all AP classes. On top of that, I was doing a medical competition called HOSA, Health Occupation Students of America is what it stands for. And then I was also, on top of that, I was also doing like decathlon, octathlon, pentathlon, these like academic competitions. And it was leveled up. So like I started middle school doing pentathlon, which is 5 subjects. And then ninth and 10th grade, I did octathlon, which is 8 subjects. And then decathlon, which is 10 subjects. So it's a lot, like being a student who doesn't understand AP chemistry and then being afraid to go back down to regulars because like it'll affect your GPA and it'll affect your placement, your rank and stuff in school. So I was like this really overwhelmed, stressed out kid. Like everything triggered me. Now, I didn't like pick fights with my teachers. I didn't pick fights with any of the students or anything. I wasn't violent, but I was like mentally. So like anything that would happen, like for example, I was like 0.01% away from achieving a free Letterman jacket my junior year, and I tore myself apart. And nobody told me, like my parents never told me to go into a competition. My parents never told me to do any of that. But like I tore myself apart because I couldn't achieve that. And every other junior that had a Letterman jacket bothered me. So in 2011, when I discovered henna, it was just like it took me away from the reality. Like it sounds really harsh. It sounds like, I'm escaping, but I needed that at that time because there was so much going on. My parents didn't understand what was going on. They didn't understand why my grades were dipping. And although I had the knowing that my grades were dipping, I didn't take it the right way. I didn't take it constructively. And I didn't say it like, I didn't see it as like, oh, like, Mamta, you need to take a step back. You need to like, let go of some of this stuff. That wasn't an option for me. Dropping out from an AP class wasn't an option. So doing all of that pressure, it's a lot, guys. Like I contemplated suicide so many times. Like I almost did it and then I was like, no, it's okay. But I was so grateful that henna was in my life because if I didn't have henna, I probably would have attempted it. Like I didn't, I talked myself out. I was like, look, like, that whole night is a night that must not be named. Like looking back, it's like really like I probably couldn't even have died with the method that I chose, but but like I was like really like that's just really stupid to do. So like henna, with the guidance of henna, like that was my escape, that was my art, that was like my thing, and it allowed me to like process a lot of my emotions. Needless to say, I failed at it a lot. But like it's become one of those like cleansing moments. Like some people made, some people exercise, some people like I don't know, like write in their journal. I do all of those things, but I also do henna, and it also has become like this. When I'm practicing my henna or whenever I'm doing henna for myself, it's like a cleansing moment. It's like a zen. I'm in this like I have this vision. I'm like in this forest clearing. There might be a dog there because I want a dog. I've always wanted a golden retriever since I was 5. So anybody who wants to pay the expenses of a dog and then like just allow me to play with it and walk with it and live with it, hit me up. Like hit me up. So there might be a dog there. It's like a clear sky. It's like there's a nice breeze. There might be a fire if the breeze is cold. I don't know. Like I just use my imagination, and I think that's so healthy to do, even as a 24-year-old.
Oh my gosh. That's so, look, you like just put it out there like this. Look, but you know what? That's so, so real. One, I didn't realize that you'd had issues with thoughts of suicide.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I'm so glad that wasn't a thing. Yeah,
No,
I'm so glad that it wasn't a thing because like the world is a better place because you're here. So I'm glad for that. But I think that what you're sharing is an experience that a lot of us have, of like the feeling of non-approval, or the feeling of like not being good enough, or
Mm-hmm.
just feeling like I won't add up, like I can't add
Yeah.
up. And
Yeah.
so I think that those thoughts and those feelings are so universal. And I love that henna has given you a means to also cope with those in a way that's healthy, and in a way that brings you joy, right? So like, ah, man. So I want to ask, like, when you're doing henna, is it for you? Is that more? Is it more an act of self care for self? Is it wanting to share that self care with others? Like, what motivates you to get up and do henna in the morning?
So it's a transitioning now. Like it used to be that like whenever I was doing henna on anything, because I used to do it on bottles, on candles, just for this, like I was just experimenting on myself even. But in the beginning it was an act of self care. Now it's an act of service, right? In the beginning, when it was an act of self care, I wanted it to be an act of service, but it wasn't the right time because I needed to heal portions of myself and be in order to like put healing energy out there in order for the people that I serve. And I learned that very later, like very recently, is when I learned that because I was like, here, I can do henna for you. And it was more of a transaction. Like that's how it was. Now, like my point of view is more holistic. Now it's the energy. Now, like I do weird things to my henna paste that, I'm still a little reluctant on sharing. um, I do weird things, right? So anyway, it's more of a transition. Before it was self care. Now it's self care sometimes, like whenever I'm doing henna for myself or whenever I'm practicing, but it's more of an act of service now.
That's so good. Oh, that's so rich. I love it. Yeah, like because I feel like I love what you said about like recognizing that it wasn't the right time, because we do, like, sometimes we have the best intentions, but it's just not there. It's not the right time. And I think that it's so healthy, and I think that it's so beautiful that you also have come to a place where you're like, okay, I can acknowledge this is the time for me, this is the time for them, and in both cases it's right. Like there's not a time where it's wrong. Does
Right,
that make sense?
right.
How do you feel like you balance the perhaps the expectation now of being of service to someone else? um is that something that, is it a heavy burden for you, or does it come very naturally to you now that you feel like you're in that different headspace?
Um, so I think it's very balanced actually. I think like it's a whole different thing. So whenever I'm practicing or I'm doing henna for myself, I'm in a different zen than when I'm doing henna for somebody else, right? Like at that point, there's no sense of burden anywhere because you're offering something. So like whenever I'm doing henna for somebody else, it's like I'm talking to a friend. So like I'm communicating in that way. Whereas whenever I'm doing henna for myself or I'm practicing my daily, it's for my mind. It's a cleansing for my mind. So it's a time for me. Like sometimes I'll practice in the morning, but usually I'm off on my walk in the morning, and then I have other things that I need to do. So a lot of my practicing happens like in the noontime or in the evening, and it's just a good like it just puts you back into your mindset. Like if my mind has been like skewed by, because I live at home and my parents are still kind of like, I don't know, like I don't think you can make a living out of henna, like like I it's great for your mentor that she's been able to do that, and thumbs up for her, but like I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. So like it instills doubt in me from listening to my parents. But whenever I'm doing henna for myself, practicing, um, it allows me to like put my mind back into like whatever I'm doing, and it helps put me back on my path. That and listening to motivational videos on YouTube.
She's like, also, this is the recipe for success. Oh my god, I love it. I love it. So talk to me a little bit about your journey, because you mentioned that it started off when you were talking about serving people. and doing henna for others. It started off as being very transactional, and now it feels different and it looks different. Can you talk to me about and share just like what that change looked like, when that shift happened, what was the catalyst?
Mhm. So henna, like at first, I really wanted to just make money. I really, really wanted to just make money. And um, in 2017, I was going to make a move, and that move didn't happen. Um, just personal things that happened, it just didn't happen, and it left me heartbroken. I was so upset by it. So like it was just, it was like you that should not happen to anybody. But during that time, I got very upset. Like I was very scared. I was like my entire foundation was like cracked. And I was very afraid to pick up like the henna cone because I was like, what if henna goes out of my life one day? Like what if like, because I am like in a sense dependent on henna, but I'm also not. Like I am, but I'm not. Like that's my go-to friend to go to, like whenever I have something deep to like unpack or whatever. But what if in one case, like henna was like gone from my life, and that like really shocked me. So I was like, okay, like at this point, like whenever you've been wrong, whenever you've been backed up, whenever like your foundation is cracked, you're automatically kind of like timid, like hesitant on trusting anyone and anything. Like it's just automatic. Like you just have all like glass, not even glass, they're like concrete walls. You're just like, don't look at me, don't talk to me, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. And so I was in that headspace before this whole like shift happened, before this whole foundation crack happened. I really just wanted to make money out of henna. Like I didn't see it holistically. I didn't really care. Like I enjoyed doing it. It made me feel good, but I wanted somebody to pay me to do it for them. That was the only reason. There was no like, nothing else behind it. And then like I reached a point in my life, like, so let's say 6 months later, so 6 months into the new year, um, I reached out to Chelsea and I was like, listen, I'm going through some shit right now. And I know you're going through some things too. And this may not seem like, this may not seem like an ounce of what you're going through, but I'm going through this and I need to get some things off my chest. And I felt like it's okay if you don't respond to this, but like I need to talk to you. I explained her the whole situation and she responded back to me. And she was like, basically what I took away from that conversation was you cannot serve anybody anything until your cup is overflowing. Like the cup that's there, if there's a teacup and there's a cup on top, that whole cup needs to be overflowing. That cup is yours. Whatever's in the tea, like whatever's in the tea plate, that is for everybody else. Until your cup is not like overflowing, you can't share, right? It's just not going to happen. So it's important for you to take the time to fill your cup, whether that's nourishment, whether that's, I don't know, like care, whether like, because people say your care cup is empty, whether that's care, whether that's forgiveness, whatever it may be, you have to fill that. And that has like that was a catalyst, that was a shifting point in my like those exact words is what like kind of reboosted my system. That was what like told me like, hey, like whatever we've been doing hasn't been going well. Maybe we need to dig deeper. Like, okay, we want to do henna, but let's dig deeper. How can we do it in a better way? And then like I started following Chelsea more. I've known Chelsea for quite some time now, but that's when I started following her even closer than I had already been. Cause like she was out there and I was like, I see you, ma'am, and I love you, but I'm also going to do my own thing. And then I saw that she was helping others with Hennapreneur, and that's how I'm here.
So, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that was like the turning point for you. I remember that message. I remember that message, and I remember just in reading your words, like feeling your heartbreak. Like I just remember feeling that, and I don't even think that at the time, I didn't even think that you gave me all the details. I think I came to know them later, but I just remember feeling like this I'm gonna say desperation in you, like what happens next? And I remember just feeling like this girl needs to just like, yeah, no, I did. I was just like, this girl, she needs to just be able to like love on herself. Like I just felt so deeply that there was something that was missing, that you hadn't been able to feed yourself. And I was like, I just have to tell you, and share with you that, yeah, like you have to feed yourself first before you can do anything for others. But I had no idea that that was a catalyst for you. That's
No, it was because um point like before then I was constantly harping on myself. Like I was always talking bad about myself to myself, like putting myself down. And on top of that, like I had an environment like like Indian parents are very concerned for you. But Indian parents also have no boundaries and they don't know like what not to say. Like they know everything about what not to say and they will say it. So so like I had this like very critical environment around me, very like I was very critical of myself. So my soul was so sad. It was just like, oh, like I can't even do henna right. Like I can't even move out on my own. I can't even do this. I can't even do there's so much I can't. And when I realized that I hadn't touched henna for 6 months, it was coming on 6 months, I was like, oh, now my muscle memory is gone. Now I can't even like, draw a straight line with it. Now I can't even do this. So that's what like really encouraged me to like reach out to someone, because when you know that you're down there, like when you know that you're at rock bottom and you know that like for your soul, like you can live your entire life, but for your soul, it's like life or death. You become very desperate. So I was reaching out to my cousin, I was reaching out to Chelsea, I was reaching out to a lot of people. And for me at that time, that was a lot. Like I never asked people for help. Like it was never. Like I'd never do it. Like 2017 March, yeah, yeah, I was a completely different person in a completely different headspace. I'm so glad. Like now, I'm becoming more and more of what I wanted to be in when I was like 6. So
Oh, I
that's
love that. Oh.
yeah, yeah, that's so great. Like for me and for like my kid inside, that is amazing to hear. Like I got so excited. Like my inner kid was like, "Yes."
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. Like those are the wins those are priceless. Those are priceless.
Yeah.
So I know like for you, you've mentioned henna being cleansing. And even like as you've made that shift into how you serve people, you have that like cleansing vibe about it. It's like, I'm there to be of service, to take something perhaps heavy for you when you came to the appointment, and you leave in a different state of mind. You leave in a different place, right? Emotionally
Mhm.
speaking. It for you in your business, is that a huge part of your brand? Like what is the foundation of your brand today?
So for those years, so like all throughout middle school and all throughout high school, even part of college when I was studying design, um, I felt very like malnourished. Like I didn't feel like I had anybody that I could rely on to speak to about my feelings. And I was very strong externally, in my opinion. I was very good at like sort of, I don't know, hiding my emotions, hiding my fears, hiding all of this stuff from people that I cared about, from anybody in general. Like if like I was just like this. I don't know how to explain it, but like it wasn't whole and it wasn't like living. It was just like I was becoming more and more dull, more and more dead by the day. Like something was off. So if we fast forward to 2017 when I realized that I needed to make a change, I was just so like I took into account, I wrote it down somewhere. I was like, okay, who do I need to be so that I could be something or someone to somebody that that I needed. So I just wanted to be what I needed when I was going through all of that. So I wanted That's the majority of the brand. It's nourishing your soul. And that's that nourishment, that actual like that wholeness, that's nourishing yourself. That's nourishing your soul. And that is what I offer more than anything, like in my brand.
I love that so much.
Yeah. Just
Oh, I love.
nourishment. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Because I agree. I feel like for me, right? I feel like when I sit down with clients, the henna is like that's the after the fact. Like the henna is like the means to the end.
Yeah.
But the exchange that's there, that's what makes our encounter valuable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like your focus on nourishment from the emotional standpoint, the spiritual standpoint, the physical standpoint, like all of those things combined, and you saying, hey, like here we can do henna, and that's great, but that's not all you get. That's incredible. Like it's fun. No, it really is. That's phenomenal. So like, how long was your? You said from 2017 until now. So was all of that time spent in like defining this is what I want to offer, or did you have like a moment where you some like a light bulb moment where you're like, that's it, like that's the golden ticket. That's where I need to make this change.
Um, so I always knew that there was something off back when I was like in a different headspace and this like negative, pessimistic headspace. There was something that like I'm telling you guys, like I have loose screws in my brain. So those loose screws, it's very obvious that like those loose screws are what saved me. I would always find myself in Pinterest looking up inspirational, motivational, like what have you, like goddess quotes. And I would write them down. That was like my thing. That was like my sanity. When I would write those down, I I had this like I don't know, I think I was feeding myself that nourishment at the same time. It just wasn't in the same capacity as what I would wanted it to be. But it was just so like I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it to you. Um I went off on a tangent, but like it was so weird. Like how it's just like I always say that it's this unexpected force, unspoken force. Like if you believe in God, it's God. If you believe in spirit, it's spirit. If you believe in the universe, it's universe. So this force was kind of like guiding me through this, pulling me almost like by the leg, like you are gonna get out of this cave. Like I don't care, but you're gonna do it. So it was almost secondary nature. That's how I did that. But after coming out of it, after all of that stuff, I was just like, okay, so I'm over here, I'm extremely independent. I almost like killed whatever like soul I had. Like I was not living, I was just passing through life. How can I get this discovery that I've made, this kind of I don't know, this revelation that I've made for myself? How can I help other women of similar backgrounds who are going through similar things, who have achieved a lot in their lives but feel like they haven't achieved anything? How can I make them see who they really are in my eyes? And
Mm.
how, like, how can I take that negative filter off of their eyes, of their mindset, and like help them grow even more so they can become who they were meant to be?
Oh, oh, that's real life. No, that's real life. No, you know what it is, but I feel like those of us who would self-describe as like being high achieving, right? Those
Mhm.
high achieving women, those people who are very ambitious. Um, we're also the type of people who tend not to give ourselves the most credit and who look back and we're like, yeah, I did that, but and we immediately discount whatever success we've had and it's like it didn't exist at all. So for you to see that and be like, you know what, that's been my challenge, that's been my struggle. I know that struggle and I want to help other people get through it. Like I love that because it breathes, yeah, it breathes authenticity into your business and into your brand and into the service that you're offering people.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's invaluable, you know? Um so talk to me about like business today. So you made this change, this shift in in the way that you started versus the way that you're choosing to serve people now. And I love that shift. I think that it's like phenomenal. Have you found that your business also has changed? Like, has your business model had to change at all in that process?
So when I was, so I didn't have a business model. This is my very first business model. Looking at my business in terms of a business, and not just like serving clients, not just even holistically. It's not even about that. This is my first go around being a business owner, looking at things with a business mind, looking at numbers. It's refreshing. It's also like it adds a challenge element to it because I can do henna. Anybody can do henna. Anybody can learn. There's tons of YouTube videos out there. That's how I learned henna. Like my very first teacher was on YouTube and what watching time lapse videos. But anybody can learn the art. Anybody can do whatever it is. What I needed to do was make it sustainable. How am I going to pay my light? How am I going to put bread on the table? How, am I going to pay rent? That all of that stuff, all of those numbers, I am learning right now in Hennapreneur. So.
Well, I'm happy about that. I'm happy.
It's okay. You can just Venmo me the money. It's okay.
Also that. I love it. I love it. So, did you find like, man, was it? How did you feel? Let me ask you that. How did you feel coming from I think I have a business to that wasn't a business. This is a business. Like, was that transition heavy for you? Was it something like? What were your emotions in the process of discovering that? And what were your emotions like as you started to make that shift?
So it was difficult at first, but I was already at rock bottom when I made that realization, and I was just like, it can't get any more worse. Like you know, I paid for my website, which was roughly $25-$30 for 2 years, and I didn't get any traffic coming in. So that much money was wasted, right? If you look at it in terms of business, like my dad's a very practical, analytical, very business minded person. He doesn't like let emotions into his business and stuff. Um, so like I also have that element in there. Of course, I didn't tell my parents that I was spending $25 a month on some business, that on some website, and that wasn't even generating traffic. I was getting no comeback on it. So that was very difficult. But like I'm that whole catalyst moment, that whole like talking to Chelsea, like just reaching out to my cousin, reaching out to Chelsea, reaching out to like some close friends, um, reading Tumblr quotes. All of that kind of just like prepared my mind. It refocused, like I'm telling you, it refocused my mindset. It was like, okay, this is what's happened, and at least you tried. This is not considered a failure. It's just that's just not how you do it. That's not done like that. So now that you're serious about it, now that you realize that you are like, because I took henna for granted for a while, like because I was focused on some other things. And then whenever those things didn't turn out, I was back to henna and I was like, oh my God, what did I lose? All of these things. Like it was a whole like petty thing that I did with henna. Like it was now I felt indebted to henna. And like I had this realization that like, it's been there, it's healed you. It's your duty to heal other people. It's your duty to like use this as a medium. This has been given to you. It's been blessed upon you. It's been gifted to you for this reason. So, yes, it was very emotional, very overwhelming, very drastic, but at the same time, it was a huge learning moment for it. Like two things could have happened. I could have thrown my hands up and been like, okay, well, I'm going to go work a 9 to 5 job for the rest of my life, get married, have kids, and my life will be over. Like I could have done that, but I chose not to do it. And it's a choice every single day. When you're first starting out, when you're like going through, it's a mindset. Like you have to reposition, refocus, recalibrate your mind every single day. Otherwise, you can fall off the path so fast. It's not even funny. Like,
No, it's powerful what you just said about, I I've been given this gift, like this henna was gifted to me and it's a blessing to me and it's my duty to give that to other people. Like,
Yeah.
talk about having a reason to be in business. Like, that is the type of motivation that everybody needs. Yeah, like it should be so deeply rooted in you that you're like, no, I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
This is the thing that I'm here to do. This is the thing that the universe is calling me to, and this is the thing that the world needs from me. And who am I to say no? So I love that. Have you found motivation when you come into like places where you're like, this is a rough ride? Because entrepreneurship is hard, right? Like, just keeping it real.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's hard freaking work. So is there an affirmation that you use, or like what is it that you use to kind of bring yourself back to that place of recalibration that you mentioned?
So it was very rough starting out. Like in the beginning, my first few months was like, just in general, like after March, like the first few months after my whole new journey, the second chapter of my journey started, it was a lot of hit and miss. Like some days I would feel like on top of the world, and I felt like I could be a business owner, and I felt like an entrepreneur, and I was doing the things, and it was all great. And then other days I would see other artists who seemed like they were making money. It seemed to me on social media that they were making money. It seemed to me that like they were better off than I was. And it also seemed to me, it felt like I was putting in so much work, so much effort. So I was doing all the things, but somehow they were getting the money. So during that time, and I knew that was not like the right way to think about business. That was not gonna be like my reason, because my reason's so much deeper for doing what I do. I was not going to let like a petty, in comparison, I find that very petty. Like everybody has faults, but like that's a very petty thing to do, is whenever like you feel a certain way about something so important to you based on what somebody else is doing and how they're succeeding in the same thing that you do. So I knew that there needed to be like a shift, some kind of shift. So I spoke to Chelsea again. I was like, hey, I feel this way, and I know this isn't the way I should be feeling, but I feel this way. And I'm not happy about it. I'm not like, putting it on a pedestal or anything, but I feel this way and it's valid, and like I don't want to feel this way. How do I not feel this way? And she was like, well, first of all, I'm glad that you said that your feelings are valid, and they are valid feelings. But second of all, we have a business to run, right? Like this is too little of a problem for you to like not move forward from. So, but it's kind of like a needle in a haystack. Like if that needle hits you in the right spot, like it could be the most painful thing ever. So we worked through it. Like it wasn't easy, but she also said like everything that you see on social media isn't always factual. Like it's not happening right then. It's not real time. Like also just keep your eyes on your own paper. Like it was a huge like just keep your eyes on your own paper. Just work. Why does it matter what they're doing? It doesn't matter if they're making $2 or $50. Like just focus on your paper and do the work.
You sound like me now. Keep your eyes on your own paper, Mom. Time, do the work. Like, oh my gosh.
But all in all, like it became a daily practice, right? Like we at first she was like, write down your intentions, write down your affirmations, all of the things like to make yourself feel confident. At first, it was like that, and now I think like it's a little bit of like at first, like whenever you start on a journey, on a business journey, like you feel entitled to certain successes and certain like you feel that just because you're doing all the things and all the work and all of the like puzzle feeds and all of the lives and all of the whatever, that people will just start running to you. And that like ego is something that I had to work with internally. Like no amount of what Chelsea would have told me at that time could have affected my ego more, like or less. Like she could only say so much. Like it's at the end of the day, it still bothered me. Like we could talk about it during our sessions, we could talk about it like over text or whatever, but like all in all, it was up to me. So dealing with that ego, dealing with the fact that nobody owes me shit. Nobody, like, I don't, like, the money that I charge, like, it's not owed to me. Like, I don't, there's no guarantee. I still have a lot of proving to do. Like, I've only been doing this for how long? 3 months? Like, at the time, it was 3 months. I was like, Chelsea, it's only been 3 months, but I'm not making any money. And the person next to me is making so much money. Why is it like that? And when you when you look at it, like, when I look back, even that many months ago, I was just like, that person next to me has been in the industry for longer than I have. That person has been putting in the effort longer than I have. That person has been through the 3 months, the 4 months, the 6 months with no business. Like, everybody's on a different scale here, and I am no one to copy or compare myself to, but myself, with my person, like, from who I was yesterday. So it was like a huge humbling moment. It's just like, yeah, just because, like, Henna has done a lot for you and you feel indebted to, like, giving back, doesn't mean that it's going to come immediately to you. Like, that, you haven't done any of the work. You haven't, just because you've had this huge revelation, discovery about yourself and about your purpose, doesn't mean shit to the person next to you. So calm down, take a seat, like, take a sip of water.
Look, you're going in right now, but it's so true. Yeah, it's so true. I feel like when we come in, when we first start our businesses, we're like, oh, but I'm doing all the things. Like, I'm putting the work in, and I'm on social, and I'm writing the emails, and I've built this website, and why aren't your eyes on it yet? You know what I mean? But we have to, I think entrepreneurship has a way of humbling us, and it has a way of showing us those things about ourselves that could improve, right? That we can improve upon. And I think that piece of patience, that piece of persistence, resilience, that's only built on the journey. And so if you're not willing to take the journey, you won't gain those values. And if you don't gain those values, you will not succeed. So I remember, I remember that time. You're like, I remember your face on the call. You're just like, so it's been 3 months. And I'm like, it's been 3 months. Like, 1, 2, 3 months. Like, what do you want from me? What do you want from you? Like, but now I look and I see there's been so much incredible change in you, and in how you treat your business, how you deal with it, I don't know, just how you perceive it. And I love it. I feel like it's so much more healthy now. And I feel like it's so much more realistic. And also, I feel like it's so much more poised for success because you understand the hustle and the grind that goes into it, which makes that reward at the end that much sweeter. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. It's a huge, like, mindset that you have to adapt, and you just have to go through it. Like, you have to grow through it. You can't even go through it. You have to grow through that, and it doesn't matter how much I or Chelsea or anybody else tells anybody. Like, if that's something that you pursue, it doesn't matter. Like, the only thing that matters is you going through it, you learning the lessons as you go through it. Like, there's no, like, textbook definitions. There's no, like, 6-step thing to, like, being more resilient or more like, to gain those skills. That's just something that you have to continue doing every single day. And I still get those moments. I still, like, now I catch myself. Before, like, I would be like, 6 weeks deep in their Instagrams, and I'm like, they're making money, and, like, I'm not making money. Why is it like that?
Mm-hmm.
Just take a seat, do the 10 step, do the 10 seconds, like, deep breaths, do the whole do the whole thing, like, calm down. They've been working at it 3 years. You've only been working 3 months. Like, you can't even finalize a relationship in 3 months. Like, calm down.
Yeah, yeah. So let's shift gears a little bit, because you went through, like, this huge journey, this huge growth as a business person, as a henna artist, and you mentioned that you had started, you said 3 months ago. So something changed recently in your business. What was that?
So this is another like one of those extreme like turns of your life that like you're just like, really, like you could have just told me. But anyway, what had happened was I was gonna go on a trip to Atlanta with a friend, and I was so excited. Like, comes down to like a week before, and my friend's like, "Hey, do you want to go out for fun?" And I'm like, "Yes, I love fun. By the way, if I date anyone, like hit me up. Like, I'm telling, let's go." Um, but anyway, like I'm like, yes, I'm so stoked. Like I leave work 15 minutes early, or like my usual time. I leave work, I'm like driving in my car. It's a 2-lane road. Like somebody is trying to make a left turn. There's another car in front of me. I stop. Everything's good. Beautiful day. I turn on my Bollywood music and bam, and bam, like somebody slams into me, and I'm like, wait, what just happened? So that person slams into me, pushes my car into the car in front of that car, and then that car into the car in front of that one. And it was like a 4-person car, like crashed. And I'm like, oh, I really liked my Camry. Like it was good, but like there is no way in the hell I'm going to go home tonight because or to the fun place. I've never been so insulted in my life by the universe. I'm just like, I wanted pho. Like I don't even care about the car. You could have taken my job. I wanted pho today. Like excuse you. But I call my friend up. She drives. She comes picks me up and all that stuff. But long story, longer story shorter. Um, I ended up having to quit my job because I got like a back injury and I couldn't like lift the things at work. And that was half of my job. I missed a lot, and I had worked there years anyway. But yeah, I had worked there 3 years anyway. But my like my parents kind of pushed me. They're like, "You worked there 3 years, no pay raise, no like growth opportunities, no like extended responsibilities, none of that. Like, you don't need to be there anymore." I'm like, but I like being there, so I had to like quit. Um, and when I quit, I felt horrible that day. Like I felt so bad, but I also felt like a sense of peace. Like coming home that day, I had never felt so much peace in my entire life. It was like a strange sense of like everything from this point forward is going up. Like yes, we're gonna have downs and yes, all of the dips and all of the things, but like you're going on your path. Like you've taken a step on your path because that job was not only it was draining. It really was. Like I was very happy there, but it was draining me. Like energetically, it was. And like I wasn't able to put in the work, the kind of necessary work that I needed into my business. So it's just like kind of God's way of, or the universe's way of what have you, way of like pushing me out of that. Like, this is going to hurt a little bit, but like, you don't need to be here anymore. So like that happened. That was like the main thing. And then I didn't have a job at that point anymore. Like I felt like I didn't have a job when in reality I did. But like that whole week was very rough on me. I felt like I betrayed everybody at work and I felt like it was just like this whole thing. And then this was like my dad comes into my room like a week later and he's like, "Hey, like I get that you don't have a job or anything, but like instead of wallowing in this, like how about you focus on something else? Like, how about you focus on maybe you can go back to school and, or maybe you can go back, like, maybe you can, I'll pay for your gym membership. Maybe you can go to the gym and, or maybe you can, like, how about you do anything? Basically, what he was trying to say was, how about you do anything but henna? Like, anything. Like, go be a lawnmower and I'll be happy, but like, don't do henna. And but I took like I dissected that and took the bits and pieces that I wanted. It's kind of like eating fried chicken. Like you take whatever you want and then let the bones go. So I was just like, you do have a point. Instead of wallowing, how about I clear up? Like because it was still constantly like, my mindset was still like teetering at the up until that point. So I was like, okay, well, let's come up with a morning routine. And I came up with this morning routine. I got up early. I go for a walk, and I go to like my neighborhood golf course river, like man-made river thing. And I go there and I stand there for a good 30 seconds. Like I walk there and then I stand there for a good 30 seconds and just look at the water. Every single day. I've done it now for a good few months. No, a good 30 days. Not a few months, a good 30 days. I've done it now, and every single day, the water looks different. Every single day, the amount of flow is different. If it rains, there's so much more. I've been there when it's raining. I've been there when it's pouring. And just taking inspiration from that water, like it doesn't matter. Even if it's trickling, it's still going, it's still flowing. And it just puts me back. It centers me. It takes me like, okay, if the water can do it, so can you. And water is such like it nourishes, but it also destroys. Like it can provide for you, but it can also like drown you. It's everything. Like do not underestimate water. Ever. Ever. So like it can like make a whole boat float, but it can also sink the Titanic. Like you don't know, right? It takes on so like looking at something so powerful like that and listening to motivational videos, like that stuff, that whole like I just feed myself the kind of nourishment that I need, and then I go about my day. And then as like the day goes on, like I may feel like a little more like I need more nourishment, but I make sure to every single day recalibrate my mind and go. Like even if I'm not feeling great or even if it's raining, like I don't use that as an excuse anymore to not go for my morning walk because the water is one thing, but that 30-minute walk is so essential. It's so like it may not do anything for my health. It may not do anything for like my like body. I may not lose weight, but like for my mind, it is so essential. My daily walk. I went this past weekend. I went to a graduation in Amarillo, and I was unable to go for my daily walk. I got sick. Like I have a thing in my throat now, and I'm just like, what? Like this has only been going on for 3 days, and I go for my walk every like 3 months ago, like I would have been fine going on a road trip, but now like just because I didn't go for a walk for 2 days, like so like I'm just telling you, if you don't, like, just try and implement like a daily walk, a 15-minute walk. I know. I swore to myself that I wasn't going to be one of those people. I swore to myself. I always say that. I'm never going to be one of those people, but here I am, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it takes, even if it's like a minute walk, just do it. Just trust me. Take the Nike, buy the shoes, just do it. That's the best piece of advice. Like, just do it.
I love it. So this happens at work. You leave, not lose your job, leave your job,
Yeah.
and leave. Well, depending on how you
Same
do
thing.
circumstance. Yeah. So, but either way, it's unexpected,
Mm-hmm.
and so now you have a choice. I can sit here or I can focus on what I want. And I
Mm-hmm.
saw you make that choice. Like, and watching you make that choice was amazing. So you make this choice and you decide to invest yourself fully into your business and just dedicate yourself to your business. And I feel like about 30 seconds later, the universe said, "Hey, Mamta, I like what you're doing over there," and threw you a freaking bone. Like, can you tell the audience about what that was like?
Oh, that was so funny. So, right, like literally what Chelsea said. And Chelsea knows because I was like, listen, this whole thing is going on. I messaged her again. I love my messages with Chelsea. That should be a book one day. Like, they should be memes or something. Like, I was like, listen, so this is going on, and like, I don't know what I should do. My current job, is not supporting me in any way. Like, I mean, I get money from it. That's about it. And it's funding my business. That's the only reason I'm there. That's the only reason why I sit at the desk from 9 to 5. And she sent me a message back. And at the time, I thought it was very vague and I thought like she was being very diplomatic. But then I looked back at it and I was like, this girl is really subtly telling me to quit that job, but she doesn't want to be blamed for it if something goes wrong. she's really telling me she's really telling me to quit my job right now, and she's like, this job isn't serving you in any way. But I'm not gonna be the one to tell you that. Like, you do you. I'm just validating the fact that like maybe you should quit your job. So I quit my job. My dad, I had my talk with my dad, or maybe like right around the same time, and or yeah, and I start this like whole new like this journey as like a hardcore entrepreneur, and like at the same time, like needless to say, like I was still looking for part-time jobs because I was still applying to them because I still have to figure out a way to fund my business. So I was doing these things, as you know, all these things, and out of the blue, I get this email, and it was from Voyage Dallas magazine, and they're like, "Hey, like, you know, we really like this picture of you," which was like really, it was a Snapchat picture. Of all the pictures that I have out there, they found this particular one, and I'm like, okay. And I didn't trust them fully either. I thought it was one of those fan mails, and I was like, I don't know about that, but long story short, they're like, "Hey, we'd like to like put you in one of our highlight pictures, highlight series about emerging entrepreneurs, and it's free, and we'd love to do this. We just like your consent." And I was like, "Okay, like that's really weird. That's like, I don't know if I can trust you, but like at this moment, at this like I don't know if I can trust myself." And I feel really crazy today, so I was like, "Okay, like, you know, here you have my consent. This is great." And so they asked me one question, and Chelsea knows this so well, and I like those that are close to me like know it really well too. And I'm pretty sure you probably would have gauged by now like how I am. I can never ever just give like a short answer. It's just not possible. Like I don't have it in me. Like it's not gonna happen. Like I don't know yes or no. Like I'll be like, yes, that looks great on you. And the colors, I love the colors and I love this. Instead of just being like, yes. Or like, even if it's no, I'm like, no, that doesn't look good on you because like this. And it will be an entire research paper. But like they asked me one question and I answered that question. It was really long, and I still like laugh at myself because all of the other people answering those questions, they had like a maximum of 5 lines. Mine is like 15 lines. And I sent all of that information. I'm like, yeah, like, you know, like take it or leave it, whatever. Like, why should I not? But they put it all out there, all like everything. They didn't like edit it or anything. And then they reached out to me later on again, and they're like, "Hey, like we we really like you know we'd like to do an in-depth interview with you. Like we'd like to you know
Hey.
we'd like to do an in-depth like for our Trailblazer series." And I was like, really? Like I don't even know what a Trailblazer is. I had to Google that. I was like, um, like, are you sure? Like, guys,
I've never blazed a trail before.
yeah, like also like I'm unemployed and like I have no sense, like no like income, like no status, like there's no what? Are you? Did you have a couple too many to drink? Like, did are you being forced? Like, is Chelsea holding you like holding a gun at your head? Like like is she like forcing you into this? But I was like, okay, yeah, sure, why not? And so it was like a done deal. And they sent me their questions. I was like, guys, see, like I also judge their questions. I just they're like, really? You're gonna ask me those questions? Like, do you not have better questions to ask me? Like, I don't like 2 word responses. Anyway, I moved to it was a whole thing. Like I judged that thing so hard. But like I kept it to myself. I didn't tell anybody else. But now that everybody knows. Anyway, if you want to read the article, it's out there. It's on Voyage Dallas's magazine website. And it was just, I was just like, really? Like you, it's still something that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. Like I'm still like, the kind of exposure that the business has earned, in my opinion, not just me, like it's the business that has earned that. I have just done the work. That's all I've done. So I can't even take credit. Like Matrika as a whole, that's that brand that the brand has earned is so, it's just something else. Like I was like, so I went through this process, like I thought about rebranding. I rebranded. Um, I did all the things. I get it. Like Matrika has become this thing. I chose Matrika. Like it's becoming something. But like really, like I just thought that I would just like do the work and like make my money quietly, like this local thing. Like now I'm getting local exposure. I must be doing something right. Like
Yes, you are. You're killing it. Like you're absolutely killing it. So you mentioned the rebrand. The audience doesn't know. How long has your new brand been up and running?
let's see. It's probably been about a month.
About a
Oh
month.
no! My new brand. I thought you were talking about the article.
The article,
So
the article. Well, our timelines are. The article came out just before you finalized and made official.
right. So it was probably a week or two before the first highlight came out.
Yeah.
Actually, in reality, nobody really knows this except Chelsea. But the brand launch, like Matrika wasn't even supposed to launch. Like we're not even supposed to be having this conversation. It was actually supposed to launch, like the date of launch was June 10th. So the launch was coming up. And it just so happened that these guys were like, hey, we'd like to feature you. At that time, it was like my old business name, Creative Studio Henna, which I wasn't too fond of. Like at 2016, I was really fond of that. But now I wasn't. It was just very generic. We'd love to feature you. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I reached out to Chelsea and I was like, hey, hey, um, that I have this like thing that happened and they want to feature me. And like, before I could even say anything else, she was like, oh my God, they want to feature you. That's so great. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, that's great. But like, I have Creative Studio Henna up there, not Matrika Henna up there. So like, how do I gauge that? And she's like, well, you could do it a number of ways. We went through the options. She's like, or you could just tell your people like, hey, this was supposed to come up, but now, like now that this happened, like this is what's going to happen. There were these changes coming up, and we decided to launch the brand early. So we ended up launching it almost. It was so like the beginning of April, so almost 2 months in advance. And we could do it. It wasn't like we couldn't do it, but I didn't like. I was working on the website. Chelsea helped me, like she helped me position it and everything. The business plan was as done as it was gonna get because that's rough, Chelsea. That's rough. Like you, that business plan though, like
It's real work. It's real
yes,
work.
it's
But
so
you know what?
tough.
All of it. So like your brand, I ask you this question because you rebranded and yeah, your new brand is it's 2 months old. And
Yeah,
immediately you came out the gate swinging because the
yeah,
content that you'd started creating prior to launching the brand
hmm
that was meant to be a transition was
yep,
powerful enough to gain you local attention, which is like, hello, like that's phenomenal. And I want to highlight this, and I don't know if this is something that you've thought of this way, but I'm going to say it to you in this way. You put all of that work in, right? You did all of this front loading work with what seemed to be no return.
yeah,
And then you literally a switch happened. You have to leave your job, and next thing you know, it's like, here's the success, here's the success, here's the success. And it's
yeah.
like things were just in alignment. How do you feel now when you look back, like, how do you feel about what you've built? And I say you, like you keep using the word we launched this brand. I'm like, no, Mom, you launched this brand, right? How do you feel about the work that you've done thus far, and how do you feel about the trajectory of your business moving forward?
That's so cool. Like I didn't think of my brand as like just being 2 months old, and it's so refreshing to see it that way because for me, like on a day to day basis, it's there's 24 hours in a day, right? Almost 86,000 seconds in a day, and to me, I feel like sometimes like numbers still get like bogged down. Like I get bogged down by numbers, and so increasing clientele, increasing all of these things it gets like those are the front ends of my business. So like that's like where I'm working. All of the achievements are great and they're wonderful. But like seeing it the way that it's going and the growth and the like the name that Matrika has earned, I still think that I'm doing a service to my brand. Like I don't own the brand. Like the brand is there. I just work for it, right? Like I'm in partner with the brand. Like the brand is its own entity. So it's so great to see that. Like there's so many like I was telling Chelsea that like when I got those features, when I achieved those when Matrika achieved those features, I was so happy. But at the same time, I was also surrounded by those that didn't understand what a feature was. So another thing about living with like conventional parents is that they only know four things like lawyer, doctor, like teacher, like, whatever, like engineer. Those are the four subjects that they know. They don't know what entrepreneurship is. They don't know like they have entrepreneur qualities. Like my dad's worked at a convenience store. My uncle's worked at a gas station and they're making money, they're making bread. But and they're entrepreneurs, like they don't get that. Like they don't know what that is. So whenever you're like, "Hey, I'm going to be a business owner, but I'm going to do it with henna." They're like, "Okay." And they
Right.
don't right. Yeah, they're like, "Yeah, okay, come back to me when like you're sober again." Um so that whole achievement, although it was such a massive achievement for Matrika, it I didn't see it that way. I didn't see it as such a big achievement because everybody else normalized it. Everybody else was like, "Oh, that's great. You know, good for you." So those achievements are there and they're very valid. They're amazing, but we didn't see it that way. And it's so good to see it that way now. Like I just had this revelation. Like when Chelsea said it that way, I was like, yeah, like Matrika's only 2 months old. Like, why was I thinking I was out here for 6 months doing like stuff? Like, why? Who? Like
Yeah, but you were
what?
putting all that you were working for Matrika all the way up through that time. There
Right,
was
right.
so much work that you did, and you were living and breathing that transition.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I find that it's almost like when I think about business, right? When I think about business, when I think about the way that we build our brands and the way that we just build the business of the work that we're beginning to run, right? You do all of this prep work, but it's not until you put it in the public that that's day one of your business.
Yeah.
Like that is day one. And so for you, it's like day one was 2 months ago and
Yeah.
you've come out swinging. And I love it. But it doesn't take away from the fact that you had 5 6 months on beforehand where it was identifying your ideal client and getting to know where she was and what things are going to resonate with her and building your brand's voice. Like you have been in the thick of growing and laying a solid foundation for
hmm
sustainability. And so when you hit day one, it only made sense that it would be in a way that was successful, you
Right.
know?
It's just so weird because like I even sit here today and I'm just like this. I never thought that I would be awarded, or Matrika would be awarded the kind of achievement that it has been. Like I always thought, like, and it's not even from like a mediocre mindset. It's just that like it's not time. Like it's just not like the right time. Like you just started, and so like achieving these things does kind of like rattle my brain just a little bit, because it shakes my foundation just a little bit, because this is success, and the success, like it's succeeding. So with that success, there is this like unbalanced, balancing nature that like what's going to happen next? Like what if this is it? Like what if that's all, and then like we're back on the downfall? But like even if it is a downfall, like it's a success is never straight. Like it never goes that way. You have to take like a dozen turns, and then you have to take U-turns, and it's a whole thing. But the direction that we're going in, I'm so happy. I'm so happy because like before I felt at a loss. And I would compare myself to a lot of like artists, a lot of henna artists who are doing the things, who are making the money, and who are great. Like they're great even today. But like I was seeing myself at a loss because they had the name, they like, worked for it or whatever, but they've established a relationship with their clients. They've established whatever it is that they have established with them, like the kind of relationship, coming back, the loyal clients, whatever. So coming into it, I felt very insecure in a sense, because I don't know, like I was just starting, and they have like 8 years of experience, and they've been doing it for 8 years. They've been doing it for 10 years or 20 years, whatever. But I know, like, that constant recalibration in my mind, I know that I have to do this, whether I make money or I don't make money. Like, and I will make money, because it's it's Matrika's earned that kind of respect. Like it's at that point now, and I'm so glad that I said this, because I've had this conversation with Chelsea several times. Like I don't know how I feel about Matrika, and we'll get into that later. But um, the direction that we're headed, it's so I'm so excited. I'm so excited for the world to see Matrika, and I'm so excited for Matrika to exist in the world, because there's so much healing that's going to happen, and I'm so happy about that, because I see issues in the world that nobody else sees, I feel like. And I feel those issues, like the focal point of those issues that I see, it's all in the mind, and it's all in like inside. There's internal work that we have to do. And with the lifestyle that we have right now, that's so go getter mentality, so much like you have to just constantly be hustling and constantly be grinding. I feel like that's going to be the downfall of a lot of us, because it reaches to burnout so much quicker. And it not only in just like business terms, not only in just money making terms, but in terms of like of yourself. Like if you're constantly going after money in a sense, or going after business growth, what about you? Like how are you going to evolve, not only within but with your business? Like your business evolving, it's growing, it's developing, but what if you become outdated? Like, and it sounds so harsh to say, but like it's true. Like you can't be your brand, you can't be your own brand ambassador if you're not like your brand. If your brand is evolving, so should you. You have to, like, I feel like everybody has to, now that I'm doing it, now that like I understand, like I feel like you have to instill that kind of time for yourself to grow. And I really want to instill that growth, that time for themselves, that self-care, that nourishment, whatever that a person needs, that is essential for them to grow and become what they're meant to be. I'm so honored to be able to offer that to somebody else, to the world who needs that kind of practice instilled in their life.
Oh. No, that's so like it's so good. Like, oh my gosh. I'm loving what you're saying. I'm like drooling on every word. Because it's true. It's true. I agree that like there is so much expectation and hurry and rush, and like we always feel like we're chasing after, like, not even perhaps keeping up with the Joneses, but like just trying to stay in the game so hard that we fail sometimes to just take that time to recenter and recalibrate and to do for us and to fill our own cups. And so I love that you not only have taken on the practice and really meant it, but also that you're taking that and saying, hey, I want to be a vessel through which you can experience this too. And henna is just, that's just what's happening to, to facilitate that exchange and that growth.
Yeah,
So
henna is very physical.
yeah.
Henna is very physical. We're talking about the mind. Like the mind needs to be at a certain point. Henna is just physical. It calms the body. Like we're talking, there's greater that we're looking at it, and that's the mind. Yeah.
Right. So shifting gears a little bit. Obviously you have invested a lot of time into building your business and like identifying your brand's message and how you want to serve people and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
What has been, up until now, what has been the biggest investment that you made in your business, from a financial perspective?
So it would have to be like, you don't mean like the most expensive, right? You just mean like in terms of like,
It could be. I mean, we can spend this however you
okay,
interpret it. If it's the most expensive investment, or perhaps the investment that gave you the most return. Either way.
okay, okay, cool. So that would have to be like that spontaneous decision I made to like get on board with Hennapreneur. Like, I'm just letting you guys know that if I hadn't done that day, there would be no Matrika. Like, yes, Matrika always had the potential. I would still be there as creative scientist on Instagram. Like, there would be no Instagram puzzle feed. There would be no, like, at this point, like, I don't even know. I'd probably be still working at the 9 to 5. Like, if there would be no shift. And it's so funny that like my life has evolved the way that it has evolved, because from day one, like 2011, like I was like, I wonder if there's a school that I could go to learn henna, and then like learn to turn it into a business. And I after my India trip in 2011, I came back and that's what I did. Like I looked on YouTube, didn't see anybody on YouTube, learned henna from like time lapse videos. I like Googled things, and I saw like there was one celebrity henna artist, um, who who I'm not gonna name any artists, but like who I saw, and I was like, oh my god, I want to do that, but that was not available to me. Like they were in a different country, so that wasn't there, and I taught myself how to do henna. Like I've said before, anybody can learn henna. Like it's a skill. It's not a talent. And I've always said this even before, like it's not a talent. Like you may have natural skill, like your parents may be artists, like you may have some muscle memory, or like you might be really good at control. That's great. But it's a skill. It's still a skill, regardless.
I like
So
that distinction. I like that distinction a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, it's not a talent. So anyway, like it's a skill. I had the skill. Anybody can do that skill. But like I wanted something that was like very sustainable, very like foundational, very there's something that I could like grow, and then like give my kids the option to like, hey, if you want to take on this, you can. If not, then it's great. Like, I could like that's something that I want. Like I want to grow it like that. And I have the time to do it right now. I'm not saying that you have to be 25 to start a business. You don't. But that's where I want to go. So I have hoped and I've prayed. I've done all the hoping and all the praying and all everything, like with God, with the universe, whatever, like begging and whatever it is, whatever it took. I was just like, I want a mentor. I want a sustainable business. This is what I want. Like, I don't know how you're going to do it, but this is what I want. Right. And it's so hilarious the way that it happened. Like, the amount of analogies that I can get from my journey is like unfathomable. Like, I'm pretty sure people are going to like be like, this chick, I don't trust her anymore. But what had happened was like, I was,
Is it
I
like
was,
that?
I don't know. I don't know. I was, look, listen, it really was like that. Like, because, okay, so I went to college with the intention of studying medicine. And then the seed was like growing, like there was like a little sprout now. And I was like, I want to do something that I could relate henna to. Like, I love henna so much that I want it, like, I want to go to school for it, do something for it. I was like, okay, interior design. Interior design and henna together. And I'm like, looking back, I'm like, how in the hell did you come up with that? But I did, right? Like, even the coordinator of our program for our 2-year degree, like, she was like, henna is more fine arts than it is design, honey. And I'm like, okay, cool, sign me up. Like, I'm gonna do interior design. So I fought with my parents, I fought with my family. I thought, I'm gonna be the best interior designer, henna artist ever. So I, go to school, get my graduate's degree. By the time the 2 years was up, I did not want to see another speck of design in my life. Like, no. Like, I've never, ever. And then I got a job in the industry, which I was also really excited about. Yes, the universe is all there. Because we went on a trip to this particular showroom. And I remember distinctly, like, while I was in college, I was like, I want henna on fabrics. That's going to be my business. I'm going to be a textile designer. Never took a textile design class in my life, but I wanted to be a textile designer. So we go to this textile showroom, and I remember telling each and every single one of my peers, and they can attest to this, that I was going to be working there after, like, I'm going to be working here one day. Like, I'm going to do it. And that was like my first job out of college is that particular showroom. Of course, my vision was a little skewed because I ended up working for carpet sales and not textiles. Like, it is technically still textiles, but not fabric, like curtain sales. It was more like carpet sales, which is kind of boring. Oh well. But like, I wanted to do like textiles, so I started creating my own patterns, doing all this stuff, and of course they were just henna design. So, and then finally, when I had like my realization that this isn't going to happen, we're not doing this. Like, for textiles, you need to go to education. Like, you need to have like a decent education in textiles, like at least a bachelor's or something. And I was like, yeah, university is going to cost so much money, and I don't want to spend my life paying student loans. So I decided not to do it. Like, that was when Creative Studio actually stood, that brand name, that business name stuck with henna, because I was also doing fabrics and I was also doing like paintings and alongside henna. So it was a studio like atmosphere and it worked. But after I changed back to Matrika, it wasn't like that anymore. It was solely just like henna. So after I joined like Hennapreneur, I was so grateful because I had done all the praying. Like, I was like, I need a mentor. Like, I want to do something. Like, clearly henna has chosen me. Like, it wasn't even out of a like an arrogant, like, it was out of confidence. Like, I wasn't even being arrogant. I was like, give me some way to turn this into something. Because this, like, I know that like it's just a design, but like, this is like art. I've always been artsy, like since day one. Maybe not day one, since like, I don't know, 5 years old. Like, since first grade. Let's just do it that way. But like, I've always been artsy. Like, I want to do something with art. I want to do something creative. I don't want to sit at a desk 9 to 5. Like, I wanted to, and it's a great source of income. Like, it's stable. It's all the things. It's very grounding. Whatever. I want to do something that like nourishes me, like that helps me grow. Like, help me out here. And in 2015, when I was doing all the things, like, I came across this post, and it was Chelsea's post, and she's like, hiring henna artists, and I was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, I love henna artists. So at the time, I didn't really have like any pictures of like my work, my handwork, because I do have a history like using chemical cones. That must never be spoken of again. We all start somewhere.
We all did it. We all
We
did.
all start somewhere, right? So so I didn't have many pictures of my work, but I did have a sketchbook. And so I'm like, I'm sending Chelsea all of those sketchbooks. So I sent her all the pictures that I had and everything. And Chelsea responded back in Messenger. And what she said was also very humbling, but it was also very supportive. And so I'm thinking like, oh my God, she's gonna love my work and she's gonna hire me on the spot or whatever. And she's like, your sketches are lovely.
How you say it like that?
That's what I read. She said your sketches are lovely. And I was like, oh, okay. That's how I read it. It was text, guys. It was Facebook Messenger. There were no emojis. There was no anything. It was like your sketches are lovely! Exclamation point. So how else is a broke college student supposed to read that? I was like,
To
this
be
girl.
fair, I didn't know emojis in 2015.
I know,
that wasn't
I know.
a thing.
It wasn't. We had horrible emojis. But she followed back and she's like, hey, listen, like we're having this henna hangout, and I'd love for you to come, and it would be so like amazing for if you could come. It would be great. And I was like, oh, okay, but I don't have transportation because I didn't have transportation. I was like, okay, that's great. Like I'd love to come. Like where do I have to come? And she sent me the address. It was in Irving. I was like, oh, Irving. Okay. Well, Chelsea, I can ride the like public transportation up to like halfway point. Can somebody come pick me up? Like, is there any? I really want to go to this. I just don't have transportation, but I can make it happen. Like, I can take a train and 2 buses if I have to. I just need somebody to come pick me up. Is it possible for somebody to come pick me up from the train, like the closest train station I could get to you? I swear I could get to you. And she was like, where are you located? And I'm like, I'm in Garland. She's like, okay. Well, I live in Irving, but there is a henna artist that's closer to you, and I'm gonna ask her to pick you up. And I was like, are you sure? Like I can take the train. She's like, I have a thing with public transportation. Like, don't worry about it. Like I'm gonna. And so for a few times, that's when I first met Chelsea. And since then, like at that point, like I voiced all of my concerns to her. I voiced all. It was so funny because when I first met Chelsea, she had a way of like putting my concerns in the most normal way possible. Like she normalized everything, and like it was very, very good to hear from that, but it was also very, very annoying because I was telling her, I was telling her like I was, it was like the first or second time I was telling her like, yeah, like I'm doing design, I'm pursuing design, I want to be a textile designer, and I want to like merge the two together, but my parents just don't get it. Like I don't get it. Like I don't understand why they're harping on me to go back to the medical field. I don't want to do this anymore. Like blah 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 blah. And she's like, we've all been there. Like we've all like had this issue with our families. Like we're all henna artists. Everybody sitting here at the table has been through what you're going. And it was like the most annoying thing ever. I was like, this chick, like I'm telling her there's a major issue. Of course I was only like 20, but like maybe it's like, like it's like I'm going through this like major issue. How can you like normalize? Like this is she's like, I get it, but like everybody's gonna be like, you'll go through it too. Like it's gonna be fine. Like it's a way of life. And
I'm tripping out over here. I'm like, this has become a roast Chelsea session. But then it's like, but at the same time,
listen,
it's true.
It's so true. It's so true. I don't take it like that at all. Of course I'm gonna roast you, but then I'm gonna like butter it up too. It's gonna taste so good. don't worry, like your time is coming. So then we met again. She reached out to me again. It was like my last spring break ever, and I really wanted to do something. And she's like, "Hey, like there's a spring. Like, are you gonna be at the spring? What was it? Spring hangout, something, spring conference or whatever. It's in Rhode Island." And I was like, "No, there are conferences like that. Like, you guys get together. Wait, what? There's a whole community. I felt like I was one of two." I thought I was one of two. Like, what? And I was like, "There's more competition." She's like, it's a positive community. Like, do you want to come? Like, yeah, I'm gonna be teaching a class there. What's she teaching? I can't remember. She's like, "I'm gonna be there. You like, I could split the room with you." And I was like, "Oh, split the room. Yeah, I want to go." So talked with some friends. I worked it out, like got my plane ticket. I went to Rhode Island and Chelsea, like roomed with Chelsea. It was like the best thing ever. Like we, we guys, like this will forever be my trump card. I got to room with Chelsea, meaning I have, I have 72 hours of more Chelsea than all of you. It's so good.
Sleep.
No, no, not like that. That's a little creepy. No. We've had so.
Just know that I've seen as much of you as you've seen of me. Okay, we're even.
No. No. That's not where I was, Chelsea. That's not where I was going.
I'm just poking fun. I'm poking fun.
That's not where I was going with it.
Oh my god!
To know everything. No, but like the soul talk that we had, we bonded. It was great. Then I came back. I graduated, started working, went through this whole spiel, 2017 spiel. My life turned upside down. There's this huge foundational crack. And like looking back, like I now just have this realization that like the universe was like, "Oh no, you don't! Like you asked me for this. I gave it to you. I gave you a mentor. You don't just get to like put it to the side. Of course, like excuse you, ma'am. Who are you? Like you have a mentor. Go back. Excuse you." Like the universe was so offended by. I feel like that's what happened now. And then like I spoke with Chelsea and the whole Hennapreneur thing. Like you guys basically know my life now. What am I? Like the whole Chelsea thing happened and the Hennapreneur thing happened. And after investing in Hennapreneur, like my world is so much healthier. And it's all thanks to Chelsea. Like the whole, like, I know I said she was annoying. I know I said like all the things, but like that's what mentors do. They're supposed to be annoying, you guys. They're like, you're thinking a scarcity mindset. You don't need to be thinking like that. I need you to change your mindset so that I can help you grow. And until you don't, like, I'm just going to give you like petty answers until you figure it out for yourself. Not that Chelsea's answers were petty or anything, but like they were grounding, they were humbling. Like it's good. It's good not to be so in yourself that like you feel the world owes that to you. And I always thought that I was humble, and I always thought that like I had a good head on my shoulders. But those 0.2 times that I didn't, Chelsea was there to be like, "Calm down, take a seat, take a sip of water." Like patience, honey. Patience. I'm here with this patience. So Hennapreneur has been that like humbling factor for me, but it's also been like this whole uplifting community. Like I feel like I belong. Like for the longest time I felt like I didn't belong. And Hennapreneur is a place where I can belong. Like I feel like I can let my hair down. And there have been days like Chelsea posts every Tuesday gratitude posts, and I'm like, "Listen, man, I can't do it today. I just not feeling it." And the support I got from it, I thought that people were gonna like harp on me. I thought people were gonna be like, "There's always something to be grateful for. There's always, like, I'm sure, like waking up is something that you can feel grateful for." Like right now, I thought that was the response that people were gonna give me, but no, people were there like, "No, that's cool. Like everybody has a day like that. You don't have to be grateful every single day." Like, and I was like, people get me. So Hennapreneur has been such a factor in not just like my business life, but also my personal life.
You're just like, you're
I
giving me
know.
all the feels.
I know.
Like,
I'm just giving
yeah.
it back. Whatever you've
Oh,
given me, I'm giving back, whether that was annoyance or like,
oh
whatever
my
it
gosh,
was.
no, you've given me all the feels because I well, obviously, like I see your journey from a third party perspective. So to hear it from you and to hear like, no, this is what it felt like when you said this, or this is what it felt like when I had to do that, or like, and I know I'm assigning you guys homework and whatnot, and you're like, but to hear like this is how it feels to do those things, it makes me so happy to see the end result. it,
Yeah.
yeah, it makes me like, I'm so incredibly proud of you. And I like, proud is not the word. Like, I'm telling you, I'm like so incredibly proud of you and your growth over the year, because we've known each other for a long time now. So to see that change in you and to see that shift in you, and from when we were introduced to now, like even
Yeah.
just over the past 6 months, it's like Mamta Rana is a totally different person. And but like in the best of ways, and those best traits about you, you kept them and they've just been amplified. And then those places where like you needed, I'll say like some improvement. And I feel like maybe that's not the best word to use. Like those places we all have, like those blind spots that we could do better
Hmm.
about. I feel
Hmm.
like you're now treating them a lot more healthy, like in a much more healthy way and a much more well-rounded way and holistic way. And I love it because like I literally, I look and I'm like, I remember that time when I could see your cup on E. And
Yeah.
now you are so vibrant and like, I literally, it's like it's tangible. The overflow is tangible. And I just, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
Yay.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so good. Like, it's so good. And this whole interview validated my entire life. I feel so heard right now, even though nobody's seen this yet. Like, I feel so heard, like so validated, just talking about it and just seeing how much of like how much of a part henna has played in my life. Like,
Mhm.
it's always been there. It's always like, it's just right there. It's weird. It's so weird.
Yeah.
But like that, like I'm looking at a graduation cap, my 2016 class of 2016. There's henna on there. Like, course, right? Like, I painted the hat, I drew like the henna and added the rhinestones and everything. It's just there. I'm just like, it's always been there. It's like, that's something that even if like I pass away, that's something that somebody will remember me by. Like, that girl was obsessed with henna. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, she's dead now, but like, henna was there. Like, it's still there. Like, if you and I get really harped about this too. Like, I get triggered when people like say like it's just henna. Like, I don't need that much, or like I don't like they underestimate like the quality and the essence of henna. Like, I
Mhm.
get really triggered by that, and I have to come sometimes keep myself in check. Like, it's okay for them not to like henna. It's okay. Like, take a step back. Like, just because you really like, it's kind of like somebody like putting your profession down, or somebody like putting your sister down. Like when somebody like says something and you immediately get triggered, but like in the back of your head, but like not everybody's gonna like everybody.
Mhm.
It's the same thing. I'm just like, hold on, hold on there. So anytime anybody says if they don't like henna, I'm always like triggered. I'm like, oh, you can't be trusted.
sad, sad existence for you. Oh my gosh.
It's so
So,
funny.
Mamta, like you've taken us on like this incredible journey. There are parts of it like I said, I didn't know all of those things. So that's I'm loving hearing this from you.
Yeah.
But so you go on this incredible journey. Like for you, what's the biggest lesson been over these years, over your lifetime? As it relates to henna and who you are as a person. It could be personal, professional, it doesn't matter.
Mhm. So there have been several lessons, and one is, you know, one of the biggest things, like, I don't know how to, okay, so it's basically been prove your haters, don't prove your haters wrong, prove your lovers right. Um,
Ooh, I
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Tell me more.
So, yeah, there's that one. And then there's, patience, just patience. And silence, like, be silent and be patient if you're good. Don't complain. Don't, it's, even if you can complain, there's nothing wrong with complaining, but like, don't wallow in complaining. Don't wallow in your guilt. Don't wallow in your sadness. And I've done all of that. As you guys may know, there was a phase in my life where I thought I had a really good head on my shoulders, but in reality, I was like the most pessimistic person out there. And now I feel the same. Like, I feel like I have a really good head on my shoulders still, and I understand things, but I also have tendencies to go back, right? Um, so there's that one. Don't prove your haters wrong. Prove your lovers right instead. Then there's patience. Then there is, um, yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest one. Uh, very, very recently, I was, I was out talking to some people, and they, they were a South Asian group of people, and we were talking about professionalism, and what that is in businesses. And they asked me what I did, and I told them I did henna, and they're like, "Oh, well, I thought that only Muslims did that," and I was like, "No, like, it's a very, like, don't be ignorant. Like, they don't have all the great stuff, you know." So henna, like, uh, it originated in Africa, in Egypt, like all of these places, Asia. It's a part of culture now, and they're like, "Oh, like, oh, don't Muslims make henna?" And I was like, first of all, check yourself, because just because I draw tridents on my wrist doesn't mean I can't use one. So check yourself first. Second of all, like, Chelsea, like, we have a relationship that's like so unspoken of, like, it's like a sisterhood, right? So like,
Yeah.
when they said don't Muslims make henna, like, I was immediately triggered, because like, I immediately thought they were pointing fingers at you, and I was like, oh hell no, don't you dare, don't you dare, like, don't even think about going that way. So that's where the whole don't prove your haters wrong, prove your lovers right instead comes in. And I was very upset for that day. Like, I was like, how dare they? How dare they even think? Like, how dare they even think that way? Like, what if Chelsea, which, it's not that you're not, like, what if you were a millionaire? Like, would they say the same things then? Like, what if you were, a millionaire, billionaire, making, I don't know, 10 figures, right? Like, making 10 figures, having the Porsche, having the mansion, all the things, and you were a business owner to a media company, like, right? Like, what if you were like a traditional entrepreneur and you made the money, and you, like, you weren't a hen artist? Would they say the same things about you? No. Like, so the fact that that whole thing triggered me, and I was like, oh no, Matrika has to be a success now. Because if Matrika is a success, then Hennapreneur is a success, and Hennapreneur, if that's a success, then of course all these people are going to shut up.
Hey.
So it's so much greater now. Like, now it's not even just about me. Like, before it was about me and henna, right? Now it's not even that. Now it's not even just about me and Matrika. It's about Hennapreneur now. It's about, like, Chelsea, like, your name now. Your name is attached, no matter how you want to deny it, your name is still attached to Matrika. So,
That's all you, man.
like,
That's all
there's
you.
no way, there is no way anybody's gonna sit here and tell me, like, do that kind of stuff here. But yeah,
Mm.
so Hennapreneur has been the one thing, the
Oh
one
my
thing, and
gosh.
then Chelsea Stevenson, of course. But like,
You're so,
Hennapreneur.
you're so funny. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna. You can't give me credit for the things because you put the work in. You put the work in. I get like, I look and I'm like, my job more than anything is to help you find the clarity that already exists in you. That's it. And then maybe a little sprinkle of like, here's some stuff that can help you, some tools and resources that can help you. but ultimately the work has to be done by you. The work has to be done. The dedication has to be there, and that's, you got it all, babe. Yeah,
Oh, that's so sweet. But
yeah.
see, I can work. I can work 9 to 5. I can work 12 hours, but I need direction. So you're the one who gave me direction. You're the one who gave me the guidance. So come on now, like take the credit, Chelsea.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate it. I'll say, okay. Thank you, Mamta.
There.
But Matrika is your baby. So hold your baby and be proud. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, let me ask you, if you had to leave a note, if you had to like put a message in a bottle, toss it out there to that henna artist who's 2 steps behind you in her journey or his journey, their journey, what would that message be?
It would be, make sure your cup is overflowing, first of all. And number two, make sure you know who it is that you want to serve. It could be what too. Like, what do you want to serve? Do you want to serve, like, those are the two main things. Do you want to serve people? Do you want to serve things? Do you want to serve animals? Do you want to, I don't know how it would look good. Like, I don't know how henna would look on fur, but like, I don't know. But you do you, right? Like, I've seen some of the weirdest things turn into like trends. So you do you. Hashtag henna freckles. Like,
Oh
I threw my
no.
hands up in the air and was like, I can die today. I've seen everything. When I saw that, I was like, of course. Like, of course. And they call it natural too. But they have
Oh,
a chemical cone in their hand. But I'm just, how?
because we gotta do
How?
all the educating. That's why.
How? But, make sure your cup is full. Make sure you can give before, like, make sure you get before you can give.
Mhm.
And make sure you know exactly what it is or who it is that you want to serve. It just makes everything so much easier.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love both parts of that. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, I love it so much. Oh my gosh. So tell the people, where can they keep up with Mamta and with Matrika, and like, where can they find you online?
Right. So Matrika Henna, Facebook.com/Matrika Henna. You can add me as a friend, Mamta Rana. I live in Garland. We can be friends on Facebook as well. Um, on Instagram, it's matrikahenna.official. And then you can email me, mamta@matrikahenna.com. If you want to chit chat, you can call me. Actually, I'm not going to give you my number. It's on the website. You can look at the website, www.matrikahenna.com.
Hey, I love it. Oh my gosh. So one final question for you, Mamta. Hennapreneur was built with the intention of empowering, educating, serving the henna community. And I wanted to do that with the understanding that we wanted to build community over competition and see other artists, right, succeed as well in their journey. So for you, what is it, if there was one thing that you could ask of the community, of the hennapreneur community, of me, of the henna community as a whole, how could we help to support you in your goals and in your vision and doing the things that you're doing with Matrika?
So I'd love for people to kind of open up a little bit more. Um, it's it's a safe community, and I feel like everybody there, like in my experience, and I have had an experience. Like, I've thought that, you know, I've thought that like people would take me wrong, and I was taken like, it's that gratitude episode that I had where I didn't feel gratitude at all, and I felt like I could be raw enough and humble enough to kind of be like, guys, I'm just not feeling it. The response that I got from the community, that was just so like nourishing in itself. Like, and I want that nourishment to continue, and I want that nourishment to stay within the Hennapreneur community. So if anything, I know that everybody um, has like feelings inside. Everybody has baggage. And so I really want people to kind of open up and be okay with the fact that they're not 100 right now, or they may not be feeling it today. And I want them to open up just a little bit. If we talk in more like logical, tactical, practical terms, um, I don't know. I like seeing Chelsea. Uh, so maybe can we do like an awesome October again? Like that was fun. I know that was a
Oh,
lot.
oh, you've asked too much, Mamta. Awesome. You know what? I've actually I've been thinking of like, am I gonna do an awesome October this October? I don't know. I can't make any promises,
Oh,
but it might
it
be a
might
thing.
happen.
It might.
It might happen. That would be like, or we could do like an anniversary type thing because I started. I don't know. I feel like a lot. Wasn't that when you launched Hennapreneur, or was it a few months before that?
I launched it before that, but I feel like Awesome October was a huge opportunity for us to kind of just come together and really get to know one another for the first time.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that was the first experience where like the whole community just came together and was like, yeah, we're learning these things together. We're doing these things together. Like we're going to succeed. And I think that it really set the tone for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe not like every single day, maybe not like 31 days, because I know that was a lot for you and it was a lot for me too. But like maybe we could do, I don't know, like every Wednesday, or maybe like, I don't know, Tuesday and Thursday. Like something.
You might have to start a whole change.com petition because we'll see. We'll see.
So she's like, you have the nerve to ask me for time?
Oh my gosh. No, I really loved it. I really loved Awesome October. I really loved Awesome October. So I don't know. I've been teetering with it. It's been on my like, maybe this is gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it becomes a thing that we just do every October. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Maybe it's
No
something
promises.
different. I don't know. Maybe we can do a competition. I don't know.
I like that too.
Yeah, but I'm not competitive.
Also that. I mean, it's the community experience. I like the community
Yeah.
experience more than anything. Anyway.
I'm still saying those meetups.
Oh.
Those meetups. Maybe we can do a meetup.
Oh, I would love to. I know I would love to. I would. I miss those days. I miss that. I miss that a lot. Yeah. All right, lady. Well, I so appreciate you spending the time with me today and sharing all the things about your journey. And I love getting to know you better. Like I there really is, when you say that there's that relationship that's been forged that goes unspoken. Like you have no idea. And I value you so much and I appreciate you so much. And I want to thank you for sharing that also with the larger community as well.
Yay! I'm so glad. Everybody watching, you guys follow Chelsea everywhere. Like everywhere. No, not like that. Like I mean, like Facebook, Instagram. I think she has a YouTube. I think Hennapreneur also has a YouTube. I've stalked you.
Oh,
LinkedIn, everywhere. Follow her, subscribe. This woman is amazing.
Oh, well, so are you, girl. Please, I'm excited to see what's next with Matrika Henna. Like, it's you have really outdone yourself when you put the work in, and I'm like, I can't wait to see what's next.
I know, me too.
All right, lady. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with me today.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye.